And we turn now to politics. The U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear program are under a microscope, with conflicting reports on whether the country's nuclear program was destroyed or merely damaged. The Trump administration adamantly rejecting a leaked report claiming the attack only set Iran's nuclear program back by months. In a press conference, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth defended the strikes, criticizing media organizations that reported the findings.
This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years, and no other presidents had the courage to actually do.
An Iran supreme leader claimed victory today over the U.S. and Israel, saying President Trump grossly exaggerated the events. And joining us now, two local politicians who represent both sides of the aisle. Providing the Democratic point of view is former state senator Hannibal Jackson. And
former Santa Barbara City Councilman Dale Francisco, representing the Republican viewpoint. Welcome, both of you. We appreciate you being here. Now, we just heard from the Secretary Hegseth saying that this was massively successful. Last Saturday's American strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. What is your reaction to both of these claims? Did it go as planned? We'll start with you, Hannibal.
Well, it's hard to know, and I'm not sure we'll ever know, but it's very hard also to rely on the words of this president, who is known to be exaggerating, hyperbole, if not straight out lying, frankly, at a lot of what he contends is going on in the world. But what we do know is that this was a reckless and feckless effort. It was done through enormous incompetence in terms of knowing exactly what Iran was doing, and it was very careless as well. I mean, the questions to be asked are, is this going to lead to potential nuclear gamesmanship going on? We don't know. We certainly heard from the Ayatollah today, who does not sound like he's backing down. We'll find out, but I think what we need to do is rely upon the words of independent resources, and not a fellow like Mr. Hegseth, who we know is probably not very well qualified for the job and is really one of the sycophants repeating what the president wants him to say, and that facts are going to be hard to come by. So I'm willing to wait to see whether or not it was truly successful, whatever that's supposed to mean, and that's sort of up for grabs as well.
Okay, we're going to go to Dale Francisco for your reaction.
Well, I'd start by saying it was a far from careless action on President Trump's part. This is something that has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for at least 20 years. Every president in this century and before has said Iran must never have nuclear weapons. This president did something about it. And the plan that he followed was a plan that we heard today from Chairman Kaine of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This was a plan that has been in the works for 15 years. So this was not some fly-by-night operation. This was a very, very well thought out and apparently highly successful operation. Now, it's true that there was a leak from someone in the Defense Intelligence Agency, obviously hostile to the Trump administration. There's plenty of people like that in the federal bureaucracy, to a reporter who was involved with the Russiagate hoax in the first Trump administration. Anything that can be put out there that's negative for Trump will be put out there by the people who are against him. But I think this is an opportunity to say, look, we did this successfully, and we have a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. What more could you ask?
Okay. So this has caused divisions within the Republican Party. In fact, Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene called the decision, quote, a bait and switch for Trump supporters. So what are the implications for the Republican Party getting involved in foreign wars? We'll start with you, Dale.
Well, getting involved in foreign wars, I think that in itself is an overstatement, because what Trump did, very different from what the Bush administration did, was one operation and we're done. We're not putting American troops on the ground. We're not going to try to change Iranian society, which we're not going to be able to do. So Trump had a very clearly delineated goal. He achieved it, and he's done. As far as he's concerned, the ceasefire ends it. As far as divisions in the Republican Party, there are divisions in every party all the time. I read a YouGov/CBS poll this morning that said 85% of Republicans support what Trump did. I don't know how they measured it, but 94% of MAGA Republicans support what Trump did. So there's no division in the Republican Party itself. There are a few people Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. And actually, I mean, this is kind of interesting. This is the first time I'm aware of Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC agreeing on American foreign policy.
That's interesting.
All right, Annabeth.
And I think they're agreeing because 85% of the public does not like what was going on. I mean, careless. This could have led to nuclear war. The president said, I'm going to decide based upon the way I'm feeling about it right before we make our decision. Whether or not this had been in the works for 15 years, you really need to be circumspect before you start dropping bombs on a country that can cause enormous damage to you and your country as well. As to whether this ceasefire continues or not, that's up for grabs. But we're dealing with a country that has a very strong hatred for America. Did we make it worse? Or by bombing the heck out of them? Well, that remains to be seen. But you know, there are other ways to resolve a problem other than bombing somebody.
Okay, well, that was our last question. You just touched on it. Will it make things worse? Will it poke the bear, so to speak? You say yes. Do you agree?
Well, Iran has been at war with us since 1979, when they committed their first act of war and seized the American embassy. That hasn't changed. Iran has been against this country. Death to America is their favorite slogan, and they have killed, directly or indirectly, thousands of Americans over the years. That's not going to change. I'm not worried about this. We have decisively weakened the Iranian regime, and if the Ayatollah Khomeini calls this a victory, good for him. I hope he's not very long in office.
All right, really quick rebuttal.
Well, you know what's very interesting about this is that there are other ways to resolve problems. If this doesn't make Iran more effective in its efforts to undermine our country, to put our people at risk, that would be surprising. I think the fact that this was reckless in the notion that we went ahead and bombed a country, do we expect that they're going to sit back and say kumbaya? I think when you look at the history, as you've just pointed out, it's actually the opposite. But we will see. Hopefully we won't be dropping too many more bombs on other countries to whom we are not at war without certainly getting the approval of Congress so that these unconstitutional acts will stop.
All right, Hannah
Thank you
Beth,
both.
Dale Francisco, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
All right.